Good morning and happy Deepavali. We are starting up today with so I had skipped ahead somewhat for Navaratri, prior to Navaratri, to read the Devi Gita. My thinking was to not go back to the portion we skipped over, for the simple reason that the portion that we skipped over consists almost exclusively of the lengthy genealogy of certain tribes of kings, and very like minimal to no devotional material to Devi or so on, which it's of only historical genealogical importance. And we have read through quite a lot of that together through the Bhagavata and the Vishnu Puranas. So I was thinking to continue from where we were at the conclusion of the Devi Gita. Which means starting with the beginning of the 8th book, chapter 1. Janamejaya asked, O Lord, I have, I have heard all that you have described about the sweet nectar-like characters of the kings of the solar and lunar dynasties. Now kindly describe the real tattva of the Virat form of the Mahadevi and how she was worshipped in every Manvantara by the regent of that Manvantara and the kings thereof. In what part of the year and in which place, under what circumstances and in what form, and with what mantras was the Devi worshipped. I am very eager to hear all this. O Guru, in fact, describe the gross forms of the Adya Shakti, the Devi Bhagavati, by concentrating attention upon which I can have the power to understand the subtle forms of the Devi, and I can then get the highest good in this world. Vyasa said, O Raja, now hear. I will describe to you in detail about the worship of the Devi Bhagavati that leads to the welfare of the whole world, the hearing of which, or the practice of which, enables one to get the highest good. In days of yore, the Devarshi Narada asked Narayana about this very point. I will now tell you what the Bhagavad, the promulgator of the Yoga Tattva, advised Narada. Once on a time, the all-powerful Devarshi Narada, entitled with all the yogic powers, and born from the body of Brahma, was traveling all over this earth and came to the hermitage of the Rishi Narayana. Resting a while, so this refers not to Narayana in Vaikuntha, but the Rishi, the avatar Narayana, in Badrikashrama in the Himalayas. Resting a while and the troubles of the journey over, he bowed down to the yogi Narayana and asked him, What do you ask me now? Narada said. O Deva Deva Mahadeva, O thou, the ancient Purusha, the excellent one, O omniscient holder of the universe, O thou who art the repository of the good qualities and who art praised by all. O Deva, now tell me, what is the ultimate cause of this universe? Whence has this universe its origin and how does it rest? To whom does it take refuge? Where does it dissolve in the time of Pralaya? Where do all the karmas of these beings go to? And what object is that whole knowledge which destroys forever the Maya, the cause of all this moha, or delusion? Whose worship, what japam, and what meditation in the lotus of the heart are to be made by which, O Deva, the knowledge of Paramatman rises in the heart, as the darkness of the night vanishes by the rising of the sun. O Deva, kindly reply to these my questions in such a clear manner as the ignorant people in this samsara can understand and get themselves across this ocean of samsara. Vyasa said, thus asked by the Devarishi, the ancient Narayana, best of the Munis, the great yogi, gladly spoke. O Devarishi, Hear, I will now speak to you of all the tattvas of this world, knowing which the mortal never falls into the illusion of this world. O child, the original cause of this universe is the Devi Mahamaya. This is the opinion of the rishis, the devas, Gandharvas, and other intelligent persons. It is written in the Vedas and other Shastras that the Devi Bhagavati, worshipped by all in the universe, creates, preserves, and destroys the universe by the influence of her three gunas. I now describe to you the nature of the Devi, worshipped by the Siddhas, Gandharvas, and Rishis, the mere remembering of whom destroys all sins and gives the final liberation, moksha, and dharma, artha, and kama also. The powerful Swayambhuva Manu, the first, the husband of Shatarupa, the prosperous ruler of all the Manvantaras, worshipped the sinless Prajapati Brahma, his father, with due devotion, and satisfied him. Then the grandsire of the Lokas, the Hiranyagarbha, spoke to his son. The excellent worship of the Devi should be done by you. By her grace, O son, your work of creating the worlds will be successful. In this case, Brahma means creating the worlds, as in creating civilization, creating and establishing human civilization within the world. Thus spoken to by Brahma, the Vibhusvayambhuva Manu, the Virat incarnate, worshipped the world mother with great austerities, and with his concentrated devotion, he satisfied the Devi Deveshi and began to chant hymns to her, the firstborn, the Maya, the Shakti of all, the cause of all causes. Manu said, Thou art Brahma, the ocean of the Vedas, Krishna, the abode of Lakshmi, Purandara. Purandara is the another deva. I bow down again and again to thee, the Deveshi, the cause of Maya, the cause of this universe. Thou holdest Shanka, Chakra, Gada, etc. in thy hands, and thou residest in the heart of Narayana as Lakshmi. Thou art the Vedas incarnate, the world mother, the auspicious one, bowed down to by all the Devas, and the knower of the three Vedas. O thou endowed with all powers and glory, O Mahamaye, Mahabhage, Mahodaye, the self-manifested. Thou residest as the female half of Mahadeva, and thou dost all what are dear to him. Thou art the most beloved of Nanda, the cowherd, in the form of Mahamaya, the daughter of Yashoda and Nanda, sister of Krishna. Thou gavest much pleasure and wert the cause of all the festivities. Thou takest away the fear due to plague, etc. Thou art worshipped by the Devas. O thou, the auspicious Bhagavati, thou art the welfare of all incarnate. Thou fructifiest the desires of all to success. Thou art the one to whom all take refuge, and thou removest all their dangers. O thou, the three-eyed Gauri, Narayani, obeisance to thee. I bow down to that ocean of all brightness and splendor without beginning or end, the one consciousness, wherein this endless universe rises and remains interwoven therein. I bow down to the Devi, whose gracious glance enables Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshvara to do their respective works of creating, preserving, and destroying the universe, because she is the impelling Shakti, the quality of doing. O Devi, thou art the one to whom all can bow, since the lotus-born Brahma, terrified by horrible Daityas, was freed by thy prowess. O Bhagavati, thou art Lajja, modesty, fame, memory, luster. Thou art Lakshmi, Girija, the daughter of Himalaya. Thou art Sati, the daughter of Daksha. Thou art the Savitri, the mother of the Vedas. Thou art the intelligence of all, and thou art the cause of fearlessness. So I now engage myself in reciting thy japam, thy hymns, and thy worship. I meditate on thee and see thy form within my heart and hear thy praises. Be graciously pleased with me, O Devi. It is by thy grace that Brahma is the revealer of the four Vedas. So, to clarify why in this very prayer he has referred to the three Vedas and then the four Vedas. The three Vedas also refers not to Rig Veda, Samaveda, Yajurveda, Atharva Veda, but to the three types of Vedic hymns. Yajus, Riks, and Samans, which are types of hymns. Atharva Veda also consists of these three same types. So if you can count it as four by the divisions into those four collections of Vedas, or you can count it as three by the three types of hymns. It is by thy grace that Brahma is the revealer of the four Vedas. Vishnu is the lord of Lakshmi. Indra is the lord of the Devas and of the three worlds. Varuna is the lord of waters. Kubera is the lord of wealth. Yama is the lord of the dead. Nairuta is the lord of the Rakshasas. And Soma is the lord of the water element and praised by the three worlds. Therefore, O auspicious Jagadamba, world mother, I bow down again and again to thee. Narayana said, O child, addressing Narada, when Swayambhuva Manu, the son of Brahma, chanted thus these hymns to the Adya Shakti Bhagavati Narayani, she became pleased and spoke to him thus. The Devi said, O Raja, son of Brahma, I am pleased with your devoted worship and hymns, so ask a boon from me that you desire. Manu said, O Devi, if thou art graciously pleased, grant that my creation of civilization be finished without any hitch. The Devi said, O Raja of Rajas, by my blessing your work of such creation will be completed without obstruction, and by your punya your children will no doubt multiply on and on. He who reads with devotion this stotra composed by you will get sons, fame, and beauty in the world, and in the end he will be entitled to get the highest place. The people will have powers unopposed by anybody, will get wealth and grains, will get victory everywhere and happiness, and his enemies will be ruined. Narayana said, O child, the Devi Bhagavati Adya Shakti granted thus the desired boon to Swayambhuva Manu and vanished away at once from his sight. Then the powerful Manu, obtaining thus this boon, spoke to his father. O father, now give me a solitary place, or recommend to me a solitary place, where I can worship the Devi with yajnas and do my work of creating a good number of people. Hearing thus the words of his son, the Prajapati thought over the matter for a long time, how this work would be done. And he thought, alas, I have spent an endless time in this work of creation, but as yet nothing has been done. For the earth, the receptacle of all the jivas, is submerged in water and has gone down to the Rasatala. What is to be done now? There is only one hope, and that is this. If the Bhagavan, the primeval person under whose command I am engaged in this work of creation, helps me in this work of mine, no doubt it will be accomplished then, and then only. And here ends the first chapter of the 8th book on the description of the worlds in the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa, or the description of the origin of the worlds, rather. Chapter 2. Narayana said, O child, when you have got your senses controlled and have overcome lust, anger, and other such enemies, other such inner distractions, then you are certainly entitled to hear this secret. While Brahma was discussing on this subject with Marichi and the other Brahma rishis and with Swayambhuva Manu, suddenly there came out of the nose of the meditative Brahma one young boar of the dimension of one finger only. That little boar that was just floating in the air soon became, while they were looking at it, enlarged to the size of a very big elephant in an instant. A very strange sight indeed. Seeing this, the Kumaras, Sanaka, etc., Marichi and the other Saptarishis, and the creator Brahma were struck with wonder, and Brahma began to say, Oh, this young boar has come out suddenly of my nose. Though it is a very small one, it certainly has come under some disguise. And it has plunged us in an ocean of wonder. Is this something divine of a sattvic quality under the guise of this boar? It was of the size of a thumb, and it is now like the Himalaya mountain. Oh, is this the Bhagavan, the Yajna Purusha? While they were thus discussing, the Bhagavan, in the shape of the boar, began to make loud sounds, like the rolling of mountain clouds at the time of the pralaya resounding in all the quarters. At this, Brahma and all the rishis assembled there became very glad. Hearing the gurgura noise of the boar, their troubles ended, and the people of Janaraloka, Taparaloka, Satyaloka, and all the devas, being very much gladdened, began to chant sweet hymns with chandas of Rik, Yajus, Sama, and the Tarva Vedas to that Adipurusha, the Bhagavan, from all sides. Hearing their praises, the Bhagavan Hari graciously looked on them and immediately plunged himself into the ocean. The ocean was greatly agitated with the fierce striking of the hairy body of the boar when he entered the waters. And the ocean spoke, O Deva, O thou the destroyer of the afflictions of your refugees, protect me. Hearing these words of the ocean, the god Hari tore asunder all the aquatic animals that assailed him and went down beneath the waters. Searching violently hither and thither, he knew the earth by her smell. At once the Bhagavan Hari, the Lord of all, went to her and rescued the earth by raising her up on his big tusks, the earth that was the abode of all the beings. When the Bhagavan, the Lord of all the yajnas, came up with the earth on the top of his tusks, he looked beautiful, like the elephant of a quarter taking out by the root and holding 1,000-petaled lotus up upon his tusks. When the Bhagavan rescued thus the earth, raising her up on his tusks, Brahma and Indra, the Lord of the Devas, the powerful Manu, and the powerful Manu, began to praise him with sweet words. Brahma said, O lotus-eyed, O Bhagavan, thou art victorious everywhere. O thou destroyer of the sufferings of the bhaktas, thou hast by thy own prowess humiliated the heavens, the abode of the gods up to Satyaloka, by being so much more powerful, is the meaning of the praise. O thou giver of all desires, O Deva, this earth shines so beautifully upon thy tusks, like the 1,000-petaled lotus taken up by the root by a mad elephant shining upon his 2 tusks. O Bhagavan, this form, that of thy Yajna-varaha, the boar made of yajna, with the earth upon thy tusks, looks so very beautiful as the lotus on the tusks of an elephant. O Lord, we bow down to thee, the creator and the destroyer of everything. Thou assumest many forms for the purpose of destroying the Danavas. Thou dost do many acts that redound to thy glory. We bow down to thee, to thy front and to thy back. Thou art the upholder of all the celestials and the immortals. Thy eyes shine equally everywhere. O Deva, by thy power I am brought up and engaged in the work of creation, and by thy power I create in every kalpa this universe and destroy it. O Lord of immortals, in the ancient times the Devas united churned the vast ocean by thy help, and got, according to their merits, their due shares. O Hari, Indra, the Lord of the Devas, is enjoying the vast kingdom of Svarga and the Trilokas by thy will and appointment, and all the Devas worship him. So the god of fire has got his burning power and is residing in the bellies of the Devas, the Asuras, humans, and all other beings, and penetrating their bellies is satisfying all by being the digestive fire, the gastric fire. Yama, the Dharmaraja, by thy appointment, is the lord of the southern quarter, the Lokapala or Dikpalaka of the south, is presiding over the Pitris, the ancestors, and being the witness of all the actions of the Jivas, awarding duly to them the fruits thereof. Nairta, the lord of the Rakshasas, the witness of all the actions of all the beings, by thy commandments, is the destroyer of all the obstacles of the devotees that take refuge unto thee, though he is a yaksha. The Varuna Deva, by thy order, has become duly the lord of the waters, and the Dikpala, the regent of the Loka, specifically the Dikpala of the West. Vayu, the life of all, the prana, the life breath, the carrier of the sense of smell, has become by thy order Lokapala and the Guru of the universe, Lokapala of the Northwest. Kubera, obedient to thy, these are all the Lokapalas. So Indra of the east, Agni of the southeast, Yama of the south, Narata of the southwest, Varuna of the west, Vayu of the northwest. Kubera, obedient to thy order, has become the lord of the Yakshas and the Kinnaras and is holding a respectful position like other Lokapalas as of the north. Ishana, who is the destroyer of all the Jivas, Shiva, Lord Shiva, has got his lordship over a quarter, the northeast, by thy order, and is being praised by all the Rudras, the Devas, Gandharvas, Yakshas, Kinnaras, humans, and all the beings. O Bhagavan, we bow down to thee, the Lord of the universe. The innumerable Devas that are seen are merely the small fractions of thy powers. Narayana said, O child Narada, when Brahma, the creator and the grandsire of the Lokas, praised thus the Adipurusha Bhagavan, he, the boar, Varaha, cast a sidelong glance at them, offering his grace. When the Bhagavan, the Yajna Varaha, was coming up with the earth rescued and balanced upon his tusks, the awful Hiranyaksha, chief of the Daityas, came before him and obstructed his passage, and Varaha killed him with a violent stroke of his club. He was besmeared all over his body with the blood of the Daitya, and thus, besmeared with blood, he came up from the Rasatala and placed the earth upon the waters. He then went away to his Vaikunta abode. O child Narada, he who hears or reads devotedly this glorious deed of the Bhagavan and the deliverance of the earth will certainly be freed of all his sins and goes to the highest, holiest place of Vishnu, the Lord of all. There is no doubt in this. And here ends the second chapter of the 8th book on the uplifting of the earth by the Yajna Varaha in the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 3. Narayana said, O Narada, when the Bhagavan went away to Vaikunta, establishing the earth in due position and equilibrium, Brahma spoke thus to his son, Manu. O powerful son of mine, O Swayambhuva, the best of those that are filled with tejas and tapas, with energy and resolve, essentially. Now go on with your work of creation, as you think proper, upon this earth, the upholdress of all the jivas, and worship the Purusha, the Lord of Yajnas, according to the division of place and time, and with all the necessary materials of various kinds, high and low, those that will be useful in performing your yajnas. Do dharma according to the Shastras, and according to the Varna and Ashrama. Thus, by gradually going on step by step in the path of yoga, your progeny will be multiplied. Beget lovely sons and daughters of good fame, culture, modesty, and ornamented with various other good qualifications like yourself. Then see to the marriage of your daughters when they will come to marriageable age, to proper men of good qualifications, and then fix your mind thoroughly on the excellent Purusha that is the very best. O child, now go and serve the Bhagavan with devotion as I have advised you, and you will certainly attain that which is difficult to be worshipped and obtained. Advising thus his son Swayambhuva Manu, and starting him in his work of creation, the lotus-born, the lord of all the subjects, Brahma went away to his own abode. When Brahma went away, having ordered his son to create progeny and subjects, Manu took that seriously in his heart and began to do that work. In due time, he had 2 powerful sons named Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and 3 lovely daughters endowed with various good qualities. Here are the names of the 3 daughters of Manu. The first daughter, purifier of the world, was named Akuti. The second was named Devahuti, and the third was Prasuti. The first daughter, Akuti, married the Maharshi Ruchi. The second married the Prajapati Kardama, and the third married the Prajapati Daksha. And know that all the beings in this world had their origin from this last daughter, from Prasuti, the wife of Daksha. Now, all the beings in this world is a bit of an exaggeration, but a huge number. A huge, huge number. Now, here the progeny of these three daughters and the Maharshis, their husbands, respectively. Maharshi Ruchi was born one son named Yajna in the womb of Akuti. He is the Ansha of the Bhagavan Adipurusha Vishnu, an avatar, the Yajna avatar. By Maharshi Karnama, in the womb of Devahuti, was born the Bhagavan Kapila Deva, another avatar of Vishnu, the famous author of the Sankhya Shastra. And in the womb of Prasuti by the Prajapati Daksha were born daughters only, no sons. Know that through these daughters, devas, humans, beasts, and birds were all created by this Prajapati Daksha and Prasuti. All of them descended from their daughters. These offsprings were the first promulgators in the work of creation. In the Swayambhuva Manvantara, the powerful Yajna Bhagavan, by the help of the devas named Yama, saved his mother's father Manu from attacks by Rakshasas. And the great lord of the yogis, the Bhagavan Kapila, remained for a while in his ashrama and gave spiritual instructions to his mother Devahuti, by which avidya could be at once destroyed, and disclosed his Sankhya Shastra, the great work on spiritual philosophy, and the special Dhyana Yoga and all its details. And finally, he went for samadhi to the ashrama of Pulaha, where the great Deva Sankhya-charya lives up to today. Oh, I bow down to the great Yoga-charya, the Bhagavan Kapila Deva, fructifier of all desires, the mere remembrance of whose name makes easily the yogi realize the meaning of the Sankhya Jnana. The sins are immediately destroyed of those that read or hear the holy anecdote of the progeny of the daughters of Manu. O child, now I describe to you the progeny of the sons of Swayambhuva Manu. Hear attentively. The hearing of this will enable one to enter into the highest place. Now I shall describe the history about the progeny of those who formed those dvipas, varshas, and oceans for the welfare and happiness of all the creation and for the use of them. Here ends the third chapter of the 8th book on the description of the family of Manu, and Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 4. The Rishi Narayana said, the eldest son of Swayambhuva, Priyavrata, served always his father and was very truthful. He married the daughter of the Prajapati Vishvakarma, the exceedingly lovely and beautiful Barhishmati, resembling like him. In other words, she resembled him. She looked similar to him, adorned with modesty, good nature, and various other qualifications. They begat 10 sons, very spiritual and well qualified, and one daughter named Urjashvati. This daughter was the youngest of all. So 10 sons, then one daughter. The names of the 10 sons are Agnidra, Idmajiba, Jagnabahu, Mahavira, Rukmashukra. He is also known as Hiranyareta, Ghृतprashta, Savana, Medhatiti, Vitihotra, and Kavi. The name Agni was attached to each of the above names. In other words, Agnidra Agni, Idmajibha Agni, Jagnabahu Agni, and so on. They were all surnamed Agni. Out of these 10, 3 of them, Kavi, Savana, and Mahavira, were indifferent and dispassionate to the world. In due time, these 3 became exceedingly free from all desires and proficient in Atma Vidya, knowledge of the true self. They were all Urdhareta, of perpetual chastity, and took gladly to the Paramahansa Dharma of sages who have renounced the world. Priyavrata had by his other wife 3 sons, named Uttama, Tamasa, and Hrevata. These were all widely known. Each of them in due time became endowed with great prowess and splendor, and became the lord of one Manvantara. Priyavrata, the son of Swayambhuva, the king emperor, enjoyed with his sons and relations this earth for 11 Arvada years. The wonder was this, that he lived so long, and there was seen no decay in his strength as regards his body or his senses from age. Once on an occasion, the Raja observed that when the sun appeared on the horizon and rose up, one part of the earth was illumined, and the remaining part was enveloped in darkness. Seeing this discrepancy, he thought over for a long time and exclaimed, what, will darkness be seen in my kingdom while I am reigning? This can never be. I will stop this by my yogic powers. Thus thinking, the Raja Priyavrata mounted on a luminous chariot as large as the sun to illumine the whole world and circumambulated round the earth 7 times. Whatever portion of the earth was trodden by the wheel on each occasion became an ocean. Thus the 7 oceans had their origins, and the portion of the earth that was included within the ruts became the 7 dvipas or continents. O child, hear now about the 7 continents and the 7 oceans. And as we have heard before in the Bhagavata and Vishnu Puranas, this does not refer to the earth of our experience. This does not describe a spherical earth planet. This describes a far larger, otherworldly extension of the earth, which is described in the Puranas, called the Bhumandala. So counting the 7 continents, they are arranged like concentric rings around the first one. The first is the Jambudvipa. The second is Plaksha. The third is Shalmali. The fourth is the Kushadvipa. The fifth is Kroncha. The sixth is the Shakadvipa. The seventh is the Pushkaradvipa. Second Dvipa, Plaksha, is twice the diameter of the first Jambudvipa, and so on. Each succeeding Dvipa is twice as large as the previous one, specifically twice the diameter. And so the first one is a circle in the middle, and then the next one is a ring around it, then a ring around that, etc. Concentric circles, each one twice as thick and with ring oceans in between them. Now here are the names of these oceans. The first ocean is named Ksharoda and is of salt water. The second is Ikshurasa, an ocean of sugarcane juice. The third is Sura, an ocean of wine. The fourth is Kritoda, an ocean of ghee, clarified butter. The fifth is Kshiroda, the ocean of milk. The sixth is Dadhimanda, the ocean of curds. And the seventh is an ocean of fresh water. The Jambudvipa is surrounded by Kshira Samudra. The Raja Priyavrata made his son Agnidra the lord of this Dvipa. He gave to his son Idmajibha the Plaksha Dvipa, surrounded by Ikshu Sagara. So he gave to Yajnabahu the Shalmali Dvipa, surrounded by Surasagara, the wine ocean. And he gave the lordship of Kushadvipa to Hiranyareta. And he gave to his powerful son Prataprashta the Kroncha Dvipa, surrounded by Kshira Samudra. And to his son Medhatiti the Shakadvipa, surrounded by Dadhimanda Sagara. Finally, he gave to his Vitihotra, his son Vitihotra, the Pushkara Dvipa, surrounded by fresh water, thus distributing duly amongst his sons the separate divisions of the earth. He married his daughter, the youngest, Urajatpati, to the Bhagavan Ushana. In the womb of Urajatpati, the Bhagavan, so Ushana is Shukracharya, the guru of the Asuras. In the womb of Urajatpati, the Bhagavan Shukracharya had his famous daughter Devayani. O child, thus giving the charge of each Dvipa to each of his sons and marrying his daughters to worthy hands, or his one daughter, to worthy hands, he took to Viveka and adopted the path of yoga, leaving the rule of the earth to his sons. Here ends the 4th chapter of the 8th book on the narration of the family of Priyavrata in the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 5. Sri Narayana said, O child Narada, now hear in detail about these divisions of the earth into the dvipas and the varshas as marked out by the devas. In brief, I describe about them. No one can speak about this in full detail. First, the Jambudvipa is 1,00,000 yojanas in its dimensions. So even that first continent, Jambudvipa, is many, many times the size of our entire Earth that we experience. This Jambudvipa is round like a lotus. There are 9 varshas, 9 divisions in it. And excepting the Bhadrashva and Ketumala, each of the which are different, each of the others is 9,000 yojanas in its dimensions. And there are 8 very lofty mountain ranges forming the boundaries of those varshas from one another. Of the varshas, the 2 varshas that are situated in the far north and far south are of the size of a bow or segmented, and the 4 others are elongated in their size. So in other words, the other 4 reach east to west across the continent, but the far north and the far south are smaller. The center of all these varshas, the central one, is named Ilavrata Varsha, and its shape is roughly rectangular. And the center of Ilavrata Varsha, is situated the golden Sumeru mountain, the king of all mountains, 1,00,000 yojanas high. It forms the pericarp of the lotus of the earth. The top of this mountain is 30 yojanas wide. O child, 16,000 yojanas of this mountain are under the ground, and 84 yojanas are visible outside. To the north of the Ilavarsha are the 3 mountain ranges, the Nilagiri, the blue hills, the Shvetagiri, the white hills, and the Sringavau, forming the boundaries respectively of the 3 varshas named Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, and Kuru, respectively. These run along from the east and gradually extend at their base down towards the Lavana Samudra, the saltwater ocean. These 3 mountain ranges that form the boundaries are each 2,000 yojanas wide. The length of each from the east towards the north is less by 1/10 of the above dimensions, each one. Many rivers take their sources and flow from these mountains. On the south of Ilavarsha, 3 beautiful mountain ranges named Nishadha, Hemakuta, and the Himalayas are situated, extending from the east. They are each 1 ayuta yojanas high. These 3 mountains form the boundaries again of Kimpurusha Varsha and Bharata Varsha. To the west of Ilavrata is situated the mountain called Malyavan, and to the east are situated the mountains Gandhamadana, Nila, and Nishadha, the centers of the highest sublime grandeur and beauty. The length and breadth of these boundary mountains are each 2,000 yojanas. Then the mountains Mandara, Suparshvak, and Kumuda, and others are situated in the Ketumala and Bhadrashva Varshas, but these are all reckoned as the Padaparvatas, the foothills of the Sumeru mountain. The height and breadth of each of these is 1 ayuta yojanas. These form the pillars, as it were, of Meru on its 4 sides. On these mountains, mangoes, jackfruits, plantains, and fig trees and various others are situated, 400 yojanas wide and 1,100 yojanas high. These divine trees seem to extend to the heavens and form, as it were, the flagstaffs on the top. The roots and bases of these trees, as well as their branches, are wonderfully equally thick and extend to enormous distances. On those mountaintops are situated again 4 very capacious lakes. Of these, 1 lake is all of milk, another lake is all of honey, the 3rd lake is all of sugarcane juice, and the 4th lake is of sweet water. These are then again the 4 very lovely gardens, the garden Nandana, the garden Chaitrarata, the garden Vaibhrajaka, and the garden Sarvatobhadra. Very lovely, enchanting, and pleasing to the delicate female sex, and where the devas enjoy the wealth and prosperity and their other yogic powers. Here the devas live always with numerous hordes of women, and have their free amorous dealings with them to their heart's content. And they hear the sweet songs sung by the Gandharvas and Kinnaras, the Upadevatas, about their own glorious deeds. On the top of the Mandara mountain, there are the heavenly mango trees, 1,100 yojanas high, the sweet, delicious nectar-like mango fruits, very soft, and each individual mango the size of the summit of a mountain, fall to the ground, and out of their juices, of the color of the rising sun, a great river, a river of mango juice named Arunoda, takes her origin. Here the Devas always worship the great Devi Bhagavati named Aruna Devi, the destructrix of all sins, the granter of all desires, the bestower of all fearlessness, with various offerings and with the lovely water of this Arunoda river, or rather mango juice of this Arunoda river, with great devotion. O child, in ancient days the Raja of the Daityas worshipped always this Mahamaya Aruna Devi and obtained for the Asuras immense wealth and prosperity. He who worships her becomes cured of all diseases, gets his health and other happiness by her grace. Therefore she is named Adya, Maya, Atula, Ananta, Pushti, Ishvara Malini, the destroyer of the wicked and the giver of luster and beauty, and thus she is remembered on this capacious earth. The river Jambunada has come out as the result of her worship, containing divine gold. Here ends the 5th chapter of the 8th book on the description of the receptacle of beings and on the mountains and on the origin of rivers, in the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Chapter 6. Narayana said, O Narada, this Arunoda river that I mentioned to you originates from the Mandara mountain and flows by the east of Ilavarsha. The Pavana Deva, the god of wind, another name of Vayu Deva, takes up the nice smell from the bodies of the wives of the Yakshas and Gandharvas and the attendants of the Devi Bhavani, and keeps the surroundings of the earth there filled with this nice smell for 10 yojanas around. Again, the rose apples with their nuts. So the rose apples are Jambu, after which the whole continent, Jambu Dvipa, is named. So the seed in the core of a rose, of these giant rose apples, just the seed of it is the size of an elephant. These giant fruits fall down upon the earth from the high peaks of the mountain Mandara and break into pieces. The sweet-scented juices flow down as a river. This is called the Jambu River, and this flows by the south of Ilavarsha. Devi Bhagavati there is pleased with the juice of that Jambu, the rose apple nectar, and is known by the name of Jambadini Devi. The Devas, Nagas, and Rishis always worship with great devotion the lotus feet of the merciful Devi Jambadini, wishing the welfare of all the jivas. The mere remembering of this name of the Devi destroys all the diseases and all the sins of the sinner. Therefore, the Devas always worship and chant the names of the Devi, the remover of all obstacles. She is installed on both the banks of the Jambu River. If men recite her names, Kokilakshi, Karuna, Kama Pujita, Kotora Vigraha, Deva Pujya, Dhanya, Gavastini, and worship, so they get their welfare both in this world and in the next. With the juice of the Jambu fruit, aided by the combination of the wind and the rays of the sun, is created the gold, the Jambunada gold. So it's not metallic gold, it is something more like gold and amber. It's dried rose apple juice into a substance like gold. Out of this are made the ornaments for the wives of the immortals and the Vidyadharas. This gold, created by the Deva, is known by the name of the Jambunada gold. The love-stricken Devas make their crowns, waistbands, and armlets out of this gold for their sweethearts. There is a big Kadamba tree on the mountain Suparshva. The 5 streams of honey, called Madhudhara, emerge from flow out of its cavities, and running by the west of Ilavratavarasha, flow over the land. The Devas drink its waters, which are honey, and their mouths become filled with the sweet fragrance thereof. The air carries the sweet fragrant smell to a distance of even 100 yojanas. The Dhareshwari Mahadevi dwells there, the fulfiller of the desires of the bhaktas, highly energetic, of the nature of Kala, the nature of time and destruction. So in other words, a form of Mahakali called Dhareshwari, having Mahanana, large faces everywhere. So a many-faced Kali, worshipped by the Devas, and she is the presiding deity of the woods and forests all around that land. The Devi, Lady of the Devas, is to be worshipped by the names Karala Deha, Kalangni, Kamakoti Pravartini. The great banyan tree named Shatabala is situated on the top of the Kumuda mountain. From its trunk, many big rivers take their origin. These rivers possess such influences as to give to the holy persons there the milk, curd, honey, ghee, raw sugar, rice, clothing, ornaments, seats, beddings, whatever they desire. Therefore, these rivers are called Kamadug, or the givers of desire. They come gradually down the earth and flow by the north of Ilavarsha. The Bhagavati Meenakshi dwells there and is worshipped by the Suras and the Asuras alike. That deity, clothed in blue, a fearful countenance, and ornamented with hair of a blue color. She has blue hair. Always fulfills the desires of the Devas dwelling in the heavens. Those that worship her, remember her, or praise her by her names, Atimanya, Atipujya, Mattamatanga Gamini, Maranon Madini, Manapriya, Manapriyatara, Mara Beghadhara, Mara Pujita, Mara Madini, Mayura Varashobhadya, Shikivahana Garbhabhu, etc., are honored by the deity Meena Lochana Ekangarupini and the Parameshvara. The Parameshvara would be a form of Shiva, and get all sorts of happiness. Those who drink the clear waters of these rivers become free from old age or decay, worry, perspiration, bad smell, from any disease, and from premature death. They do not suffer anything from error, from cold, heat, or rains, or from any paleness in their color. They enjoy extreme happiness as long as they live, and no dangers come to them. O child, now hear the names of the other 20 mountains that encircle the golden Sumeru mountain as its base, as if they were the filaments round the pericarp of a flower. The first is Kuranga, then comes in order. So when saying the first in a ring, normally it means the due easternmost. Is Kuranga, then come in order, going clockwise around. Kuraga, Kusumbha, Vikankata, Vakuta, Shishira, Patanga, Rochaka, Nishadha, Shitivasa, Kapila, Samkha, Vaidurya, Charudhi, Hansa, Rishabha, Naga, Kalanjara, and lastly, Narada. The central one is the 20th. So when we say the central one is the 20th, meaning Meru itself. So there's 19 around it, and Meru itself, which they surround, is considered the 20th. Here ends the 6th chapter of the 8th book on the rivers and the mountains around Sumeru in the Mahapuranam Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Veda Vyasa. Narayana, chapter 7, Narayana said, Jatara and Devakuta are the two mountains situated on the east of Sumeru. Their dimensions towards the north are 18,000 yojanas wide and 2,000 yojanas high. On the west of Meru are situated two famous lofty mountains, Pavamana and Pariyatra. Their length and height are well known. Funnily enough, he considers them so well known that he doesn't even mention them here. On the south of Meru are situated the two lofty mountains, Kailasa and Karavira. On the north again of the Sumeru mountain are situated the mountains Sringagiri and Makaragiri. Thus the golden Sumeru mountain shines like the sun surrounded by these 8 mountains. In the center of the Sumeru, so on the top, so the top of Mount Meru is mostly flat, like a big flat mesa on top. And in the center of it, there is a divine city built by the creator Brahma, 10,000 yojanas in dimensions. Learned sages that know everything from the highest to the lowest describe that city as square in dimensions, and all so 10,000 yojanas to a side, and all made of gold. Also on the top of Sumeru are situated the world-famous 8 golden cities, subservient to Brahmapuri for the 8 Lokapalas. So there's that one in the center and then 8 around it. Lords of the 4 directions, east, west, north, and south, and of the 4 corners, northeast, northwest, southwest, and southeast, occupy these. The dimensions of each of these 8 cities are 2,500 yojanas. So in fact, there are 9 cities there, including Brahmapuri. Now here are the names of these 9 cities in due order. So we have already heard of Brahmapuri. Brahmapuri is also known as Manovati, the city of the mind, the center one. So that first is Manovati. The second, the eastern city, is Amaravati, the city of Indra. The third is Tejovati. Next come in order, Samyamani, the city of the dead, the city of Yama. Krishnagana in the southwest, Sradhavati, Gandhavati, and Mahodaya, and the 9th in the northeast is Yashovati. Lords of these cities are Brahma in the center, Indra in the east, Agni in the southeast, and the other Dikpalas in due order, as we've heard. So it would be Yama, Narita, Varuna, Vayu, Kubera, Ishana. When Vishnu Bhagavan assumed the Trivikrama form in his Vamana avatara and went to the yajna to get back the kingdom of Svarga from the Asura Bali, there was created one hole or cavity over this Brahmanda Kataha by the nails of the toes of that foot that went up towards his left. So in other words, the left foot of Vishnu, when he strode across the universe and completely covered it with his foot, his toenail poked a hole in the universe. And through that hole, the famous river Bhagavati Ganga flowed on the top of those heavenly kingdoms, the clear waters of which are ever ready to destroy the sins of the whole people. For this reason, she is known in the 3 lokas as Vishnupadi manifested, or from Vishnu's foot. This took place long, long ago, many thousands of yugas ago, a period difficult to determine. The Ganga fell first on the top of Indra's Svarga, near the place called Vishnu Dhama, known in the 3 worlds. Here the pure-souled Dhruva, the son of Uttanapada, observed within his heart the lotus feet of Sri Vishnu Bhagavan, and exists still there, taking refuge on that immovable position. There the high-souled Saptarishis, knowing the highest purifying influence of the Ganga, circumambulate the river, wishing for the welfare of all the lokas. This is the great place where one gets success and final liberation, the success-giving place of the ascetics, where the munis with clots of hairs on their heads daily take their dip in the Ganga with the greatest pleasure and admiration. The Ganga flows thence from the Dhruva Mandala, the abode of Vishnu, and kotis of divine channels interspersed with many vimanas or vehicles, deluges the Chandra Mandala, the sphere of the moon, and comes gradually to the Brahmaloka. Here she is divided into the 4 channels. So what we mean by the Brahmaloka is not Satyaloka, but Brahmapura on top of Mount Meru. So it falls from a waterfall from the sky, a waterfall from the moon, pours down into the golden city of Brahma on the top of Mount Meru, and here she is divided into 4 channels. So it breaks off into 4 directions. Sita, Alakananda, Bhadra, and Chaturbhadra, and irrigating many countries, mountains, and forests, ultimately flows into the oceans. The Sita, the famous Dhara, purifying all, while falling down from the city of Brahma, passes round the mountains that form, as it were, the filaments of the flower-like Sumeru mountain, and falls on the top of the Gandhamadana mountain. Thence she, worshipped by the Devas, irrigates the Bhadrashva Varsha and flows eastward into the salt ocean. The second Dhara, the second river, named Chakshu, getting out of the Malyavan range, gradually gains strength from other rivers and assumes great force and flows by Ketumala Varsha into the Western Ocean. The third Dhara, the third stream of Ganga, the very pure Alakananda, flowing out of the city of Brahma, passes through the Girikuta mountain and other forests, falls to Hemakuta. Next, she flows through the Bharatavarsha and meets with the Southern Ocean. That is the Ganga that we have here in our world. No words can describe the glory and the purifying effect of this river. Suffice it to say that those who march out to bathe in this river get at each of their steps toward the river the fruits of doing the great yajnas, Rajasuya, and Ashvamedha, etc. The fourth Dhara, the fourth stream of the Trailokya Pavani Ganga Devi, named Bhadra, falling from the mountain Sringavan, becomes swift and capacious, flows by the Uttara Kuru country, the northern Kuru country, and satisfying the people there, flows down into the northern ocean. Many other rivers, emerging from the mountains Meru, Mandara, and others, flow through the various Varshas, but of all the Varshas, this Bharatavarsha, where we are, is called the Karma Kshetra, the field of actions. The other 8 Varshas, though on earth, give the pleasures of the heavens. The reason for this is that when the period of the person's enjoyments in the heavens cease, they come and take their births in one or the other of these 8 Varshas. The people here and all the other 8 Varshas of Jambudvipa live for 10,000 years. Their body is hard as diamond, and all are endowed with the powers of Ayuta elephants. No one is satisfied, none of them are satisfied with just a little of the pleasures of sex. So all of their men live happily with their wives, etc. It is not that the males alone are happy. The females also are full of youth throughout their lives and become pregnant when they are less than 1 year old. In other words, they do not have childhood. These beings are born and almost immediately, almost instantly mature to full adulthood. In short, the inhabitants of the Varshas enjoy forever as the persons of Treta Yuga do. So the yugas, the 4 yugas, occur only in Bharatavarsha, one of the divisions of Jambudvipa. And the other 8, there's no Satyuga, Treta Yuga, Dvapara Yuga, Kali Yuga, and the other 8, it's just always Treta Yuga. Here ends the 7th chapter of the 8th book on the story of the Ganga and the Varshas of the Jambudvipa continent. In Srimad Devi Bhagavatam, the Mahapuranam of 18,000 verses, by Maharshi Vedavyasa. And the next chapter is quite short, so I think we can get in one more. Chapter 8. Narayana said, in those Varshas, Vishnu and the other Devas used to worship always the Mahadevi with japam and meditation and to chant hymns to her. The forests there are ornamented with all sorts of fruits, flowers, and leaves in all seasons. In those excellent forests and on the mountains in those Varshas and on the clear waters interspersed with full-blown lotuses and sharasas, which are cranes, and in those countries where varieties of mountain trees are standing and where varieties of birds frequent and echo all around, the people play in the waters and engage themselves with a great many pleasant occupations. And the beautiful women as well roam there with the knitting of their eyebrows. The people there enjoy as they like, surrounded by young women. Narayana, the Adipurusha Bhagavan himself, worships the Devi there to show his extreme grace to all the inhabitants of the Navavarsha, the 9 Varshas. The people also worship the deity. By worshipping the Devi, only the Bhagavan remains there in Samadhi, surrounded with Aniruddha and his other Vyuha Chatushtaya, his 4 forms. But in Ilavrataparsha, the Bhagavan Rudra, originated from the eyebrows of Brahma, resides only with women. No other person can enter there, for the Bhavani, the Shakti of Rudra, has cursed that any male entering there will be transformed into a female. The Lord of Bhavani, surrounded by innumerable women, remains there engaged in the worship of the unmanifested, unborn Bhagavan Sankarshana. For the good of humanity, with intense meditation, he worships his own Turiya form of the nature of tamas. Thus, Sri Bhagavana said, obeisance to thee, the Bhagavan, the great Purusha, endowed with all the qualities, the principal six Aishvaryas, the Ananta, and to the unmanifested. We worship thee, whose lotus feet are the refuge of all. Thou art the great storehouse of all the superhuman powers and the divine faculties of omnipotence, and etc. Thou art always present to the bhaktas. Thou art creating all these beings. Thou givest moksha to the bhaktas and destroyest their attachment to the world, and thou bindest thy non-devotees in bondage to this world. Thou art the Lord. We worship thee. We are entirely under the control of the passions, anger, etc., and our minds are always attached to the senses. But though thou art always looking at this world for its creation, thy mind is not a bit attached to it. So who will not turn to thee, desirous to conquer his self? Thou art appearing by thy Maya as one whose sight is ignorant. Thou lookest dreadful with thy eyes reddened with the drink of madhu. At the touch of thy feet, the mental faculties are very much enchanted. Hence, the women folk of the Nagas, the Naginis, cannot in any way worship thee out of bashfulness. The rishis say that though thou art the only one to create, preserve, and destroy, yet thou art quite unconcerned with them. Thou art infinite, and thou hast innumerable heads. This vast universe is like the mustard seed, resting somewhere on one of these heads, which thou canst not feel even. The Mahattattva is thy body manifested first. It is built of Sattva, Raja, and Tamo gunas. Brahma has come out of this, and I again have sprung from this Brahma, and am nurtured by the Sattva and the other gunas, and with the help of the Teja, create these elements in the senses. These Mahattattvas and we are all controlled by thy extraordinary form. Thou hast kept us in our respective places by thy Kriya Shakti, as birds are kept duly by the strings through them, like puppets, birds. Mahattattva, Ahankara, and the Devas, elements and the senses, before mentioned, all united, create this universe by thy grace. Thy creation is very big and grand. For this reason, the gross thinkers, deluded by thy power, never understand it. This Maya is the only means to get the samsara nivrati, moksha, the real goal of humankind. And this Maya, again, involves them in the karmic entanglements, very hard to get through. Coming in and going out, both of these are thy forms, so we bow down to thee. Narayana said, thus the Bhagavan Rudra, with his own persons in Ilavrata used to worship the Devi and the Sankarshana, the controller of all the lokas. The son of Dharma, well known by the name of Bhadrashrava, and all the persons born of his family and his attendants, thus worshipped the Devi. This form is well known to all by the name of Hayagriva, and worshipped thus. All the persons there worship him with intense meditation and samadhi and realize him thoroughly. Then they praise him according to due customs and get the thorough siddhis of extraordinary power. The Bhadrasravas said, obeisance to thee, the Bhagavan, the incarnation of virtue, and to him who destroys completely the desires and attachments to worldly objects. Oh, how wonderful are the feats of the Bhagavan! Death always destroys all, but the people seeing this seem not to see this. Seeing that the son meets with death, the father desires to live long, not for a virtuous purpose, but for sense enjoyments, what is called vikarma. Those who are skilled in jnana and vijnana say that this universe that is seen is very transient. Moreover, those pundits who are endowed with much jnana see vividly the transitoriness of this universe. Still, O unborn one, when practically they come to deal with this, they all become overpowered with the influence of Maya. So thy Leela is wonderfully variegated. We bow down to thee and thee alone. Thou art the self-manifest Chaitanya, the self-manifest consciousness. Thou art not the object to be covered by Maya. Thou dost not do anything in the sort of creation. Thou remainest simply as the witness thereof. Still the Vedas declare that thou createst, preservest, and destroyest this universe. It is quite reasonable and nothing to be wondered at. Thou art the Atman of all. When the Pralaya comes, the Vedas were stolen by the Daityas and taken to the nether regions in the Rasatala. Thou, in the form of Hayagriva, rescued the Vedas and gave them to the grandsire Brahma, who was very eager to get them back and understand their meanings. Thou art the true Sankalpa. We bow down to thee. In this way, the Bhadrasravas praise the Hayagriva form of Hari and sing his glorious deeds. He who reads these narratives of the Mahapurusha, or he who makes others hear these things, both of them, quitting their sinful bodies, go to the Devi Loka. Here ends the 8th chapter of the 8th book on the description of Ilavrata and the Mahapurana Srimad Devi Bhagavatam of 18,000 verses by Maharshi Vedavyasa. And there I think we can pause for the day.
Thanks so much, Devi.
Thank you very much for coming. And happy Deepavali.
Yes, happy Diwali, Jai Ma.
Jai Ma.
Was the Barca Illa Brita Barca that we were just talking about, reading about, is that the one where when Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva went with Devi and turned into women for a while? Well, they were visiting her or something like that. There was that story.
There was that story. No, that was not Ilavrata Varsha. That was Manidvipa, Devi Loka. So there are two different places where all visitors are turned into women. Yeah, Manidvipa, the otherworldly celestial loka of the Devi, was the one where they visited. Ilavrata Varsha is a different place which Gauri similarly enchanted.
Wow.
Yeah.
And also, we're talking about the journey of the source and the journey of the Ganga River.
Yes.
Where I didn't notice, but maybe it was just quicker than I remember was able to take note of. Did I thought that was connected to coming out of Shiva's or coming down on Shiva's head and
Yes.
the Ganga's
Yes.
his wife or his sitting there and stuff.
Yes.
So does that tie into what we just read?
In this description, it didn't mention that, but I can tell you how that fits in. So it describes the Ganga flowing down to the city of Brahma on top of Meru, dividing into 4 channels going 4 directions. The southern channel, the Alakananda Ganga, falling down from Meru, eventually falls to the Himalayas of this earth, and that is where Shiva catches it in his hair, and from there it flows forth on the what is called the Bhagirata peaks, the Bhagirata mountains in the Himalayas, and from there he lets it go into the glacier of Gomukha, from which it flows forth into Gangotri in the Himalayas in our world. So that is a specific to the Alakananda Ganga, which flows south from Mount Meru of the various channels. That's so zoomed in compared to the gigantic otherworldly descriptions that we were going over here that this part didn't even go into that detail. But yeah, that's where that fits in.
Wow. So what's like the significance? Why is it what's such a is it because it's like it's an our like Bhuloka kind of experience is it more relevant in our Loka that we refer to that?
Yes, exactly. It's because that's a feature of Ganga, the Ganga that we see, the way that the Ganga comes to us here. So of course, most of our descriptions are going to center around our part of the cosmos and not be equally representative of vast other regions of the cosmos where we have no experience or relevance. But yeah.
Neat. All right. Thanks so much, Devi.
Yeah, thank you for coming.
Have a great Diwali.
Yeah, happy Deepavali.
Deepavali, nice.
Yeah. Deepavali, same thing.
Neat. Is it a regional dialect difference?
Deepavali is Sanskrit, Diwali is modern Hindi.
Oh, funny.
Yeah.
Neat.
That's the same thing. Yeah.
Thank you so much.